Hi everybody, welcome to our educational series. So you're probably here because you're going to be leasing commercial real estate for the first time. I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know from beginning to end. Whether you have a nail salon, a restaurant, a warehouse, a printing company, whatever line of business you're in or whatever type of commercial real estate you're looking for, this video is for you. So ready? Take your pen and paper out and let's take some notes because class is in session. Step number 1, hiring a specialized commercial agent. It's very important that you hire somebody with knowledge and experience to help you during this leasing process. In the same way that you go to a doctor to fix a broken bone, or you hire an attorney to solve any legal matters, you need to work with a commercial broker who is going to watch out for your best interest. It is a very stressful process and you can get mixed up if you don't know what you're doing. So it's very important to do your rounds of interviews to see who's going to be the best broker and who's going to help you get the best price per square foot in the least amount of time possible to get you ready and moved into the commercial space that you are looking for. Now that you have found the agent that you're going to work with, we go to step number 2, which is the search process. So at this point, your broker probably already knows the type of property you're looking for, whether it be a warehouse, a retail space, a medical office, a professional office, whatever it is, they already know. So when you start looking for the search process, you're going to be looking at different submarkets, you're going to be looking at properties within different price per square foot ranges, and you're going to want to make sure that you ask a couple questions in terms of where you can get the best price per square foot, if there's going to be a tenant improvement allowance, if you need to do build out for the commercial space that you're going to be leasing, if the landlord is going to give you a rent abatement period. What is rent abatement? Rent abatement is free rent and things like that. So once you're starting to search for different properties, you're going to see what you like, what you don't like. You're going to see if there's parking, if there isn't any. So it's really important that during the search process, you're looking and you're keeping an eye open as to what are the pros to every property that you're going to see. And once you narrow down the properties that you really like, that's where we're going to go into step 3. So now that you found the property that you like, the step next, which is number 3, is the LOI phase. What is an LOI? An LOI stands for letter of intent, which is an offer that you put in on the space that you want to be leasing with all the terms that you're asking. So on the LOI, you're going to say who you are, what you do, the hours of operation of your business, if you are asking for any free rent, if you're asking for any money from the landlord to do build out, how long of a lease term you want to sign, if you want to have any options to do a longer term lease, or if you want an option to purchase the property that you're leasing, how many parking spaces you're getting. The questions just go on for a very long time. So in the LOI, you want to make sure that you are extremely hyper specific with your ask. At the same time, you don't want to make sure that your LOI is too extensive. An LOI shouldn't be more than about 5 pages long, depending on what type of business it is that you're looking for. Sometimes LOIs can be 1 page, sometimes they can be 20 to 30 pages. So it all depends on your line of business and what type of property you're going to be leasing into. So in the LOI phase, that's when you submit your first offer, and then from there we go to step number 4. So now that your LOI is out, we are at step number 4, which is your negotiations phase. This is the fun part for the broker and not so much for you. So during the negotiations, the landlord is looking over your LOI, seeing all the terms, what they can, what they cannot do, to come back with the right counter, and we can continue negotiating from there. In the negotiations phase, the landlord is looking to see how strong of a tenant you are. So they're going to do some research on who you you are, who your company is, and how you'll contribute to the neighboring tenants that are in the property. So if you are a salon, for example, the landlord is going to make sure that there are no other salons in the shopping center that you have put an LOI on. But if you're looking at an office space and you are an accounting office, there's not really too much of a conflict of interest if you're looking at a large building, because it's not like you have a lot of inbound customers going to use your services. You most likely already have your clientele. So it really depends on the landlord that you're dealing with and how the negotiations go. When you're dealing with very large corporate companies, this process could be very draining and it can take a long time because it has to go through multiple committees. But if you're dealing with one individual landlord, the process can be done in just a couple days because they don't have that large of a portfolio and they don't have so much hierarchy that has to be done for them to accept an offer. So it's important that during the negotiations phase, you stay optimistic and you stay patient and you keep your options open, because the landlord could easily say no upon the receipt of the first initial LOI. So you want to make sure that you do not marry any single space as soon as you send an LOI. An LOI is merely an offer that leads into the lease process. So the space is not yours until everything is fully accepted and signed. So the negotiations are done. What's next? Step number 5 is your LOI was accepted and you are ready to move forward into lease. But just before you move forward into lease, there's a couple things that are done in between this process, which is financials. Financials are a crucial point in terms of moving forward into the process, because a landlord wants to see that you are going to be a credible tenant in the space. In the financials, there are 2 types of ways that you can provide it. One is you do it personally. 2, you can do it in a corporate. So when I say in either way that you do it, it's how you are guaranteeing the lease. So if you guarantee your lease under a personal name, you're going to have to provide financials from your personal balance sheets. You're going to have to provide usually 2 years of tax returns and show that you are working, show your payment vouchers. Typically what's required is on a case-by-case basis, but that's usually the standard financials that they require when you're doing a lease under a personal guarantee. If you are a larger company and you want to guarantee the lease under the corporate company, then you're going to have to provide the financials from the company itself. It's not that one is a preference over the other, whether it is a personal or a corporate guarantee. It all comes down to your personal preference and how big your company is and what you feel most comfortable doing. So during the financials period, when your LOI is accepted, this is all being done while we transition into step number 6. So now that your LOI is accepted and all of your financials have been reviewed, we walk into step number 6, which is the lease process. So the lease process is what usually takes the longest during this whole transition, because this is when attorneys have to get involved. And attorneys don't always have to get involved, but it's very highly suggested that they do, because there's a lot of legal jargon in the lease that most people do not understand. And we just want to make sure that every single term that was agreed and accepted on in the LOI is also included in the lease. And to make sure that if anything were to happen in the middle of your business practice or in the middle of the term of your lease, that you are protected by whatever is on that document stated. So it's very important that you do use an attorney, because they're always going to watch out for your best interest to protect you and to protect your company. So once the lease is all set in stone, we're going into step number 7. So the most exciting step now, number 7, you get the keys to the commercial space that you just fully executed. So exciting. So whether your space is turnkey and ready for immediate occupancy, you are ready to go, move in, and open for business. If you signed a lease for a space that's in a vanilla shell condition, well, you have a little bit of work ahead of you, because now you have to start pulling the permits and getting the licensing to do the build out of the space that you're going to be occupying. So hope it wasn't too stressful of a process for you from beginning to end. It should be as seamless and as stress-free as possible. What's key is to make sure that you use a broker who is knowledgeable and experienced to make you do what you're good at, which is operating your business, and leave all the leasing terms in the hands of a broker. So if you're looking to lease any commercial real estate in Miami, we are here to help you and offer our services from beginning to end to help you get it done in the least amount of time, as stress-free as possible, and to help you save the most money and get you the best rate. So whatever you need in terms of commercial real estate leasing, you know where to find me.